On a chilling December 21st, 2003, mere days before the festive glow of Christmas enveloped the world, two women mysteriously vanished into the heart of one of New Zealand's most unforgiving national parks, igniting a chain of events that would unfold into one of the most astonishing survival epics ever etched into the annals of mountaineering history. What started as an unassuming 3-day excursion along a breathtaking 37-mile pathway snaking through the majestic Southern Alps, a route that draws countless adventurers with its promise of natural splendor, escalated into an 8-day ordeal of sheer terror at a dizzying 4,600 feet elevation, where Sonia Rendell and Marnie Shepherd confronted the raw, unyielding face of mortality, their tale becoming a jaw-dropping beacon of endurance that continues to astonish and inspire to this day. Arthur's Pass National Park stands as a mesmerizing paradox, celebrated globally for its raw, untamed beauty that captivates the soul, where the soaring, snow-capped pinnacles of the Southern Alps dramatically intersect with plunging, echo-filled gorges, and lush alpine meadows bursting with wildflowers seamlessly transition into dense, ancient rainforests that seem to whisper secrets from eons past. Yet, lurking beneath this enchanting facade is a deadly peril that has claimed far too many lives, a hidden menace where the elements conspire with ruthless precision. The park's weather is notoriously capricious, capable of transforming from idyllic serenity to ferocious chaos in the blink of an eye. Crystal-clear skies can darken ominously without warning, temperatures can plummet an astonishing 68 degrees in the southern reaches, and relentless torrential rains can swiftly convert seemingly secure trails into lethal, slippery death traps that ensnare the unwary. This volatile environment demands dozens of high-stakes search and rescue operations annually, missions fraught with tension and uncertainty, where not every desperate call for help ends in triumphant reunion, leaving families shattered and rescuers haunted by what-ifs. But what inexplicable forces drove two intelligent, capable women to a pivotal choice that nearly extinguished their lives in the most harrowing way imaginable? Sonia Rendell, at the tender age of 25, was navigating the turbulent aftermath of a heart-wrenching breakup with her longtime boyfriend, a split that left her world in disarray. As a dedicated physics student immersed in the bustling academic life of Christchurch, she personified the essence of a modern urban dweller, outgoing and vivacious, thriving amid the conveniences and vibrancy of city existence, far removed from the wild's unpredictable embrace. The idea of venturing into the mountains emerged as an unexpected salve for her wounded spirit, a bold pivot towards self-discovery and mental clarity, offering a temporary escape from the emotional wreckage that consumed her days. For Sonia, this journey represented her inaugural plunge into the realm of serious hiking, a daring personal challenge designed to reaffirm her inner strength and prove to herself that she possessed untapped reserves of resilience waiting to be unleashed. Her companion on this fateful adventure stood in stark contrast, a woman whose life was inextricably woven into the fabric of the peaks. Marnie Shepherd, 36 years old, had journeyed from the sun-drenched shores of Sydney as a battle-hardened climber and fellow physicist, someone who had once dedicated herself to the adrenaline-fueled world of search and rescue operations in the rugged terrains of Wanaka. For Marnie, the mountains weren't merely a hobby or escape. They were her life's profound purpose, a sacred space where she felt an electric aliveness pulsing through her veins, far surpassing the mundane rhythms of everyday existence. However, a shadow loomed over her unyielding passion. Just months prior, during a treacherous expedition in the Swiss Alps, she had plummeted into a yawning ice crevasse, shattering her ankle in a fall that not only inflicted physical agony but also left deep psychological scars, a vivid reminder of the mountain's capacity for betrayal that still echoed in her nightmares. The pair had first crossed paths in the hallowed halls of university, bonded by their mutual pursuit of physics, a shared intellectual curiosity that blossomed into a supportive friendship blending guidance with genuine camaraderie. Marnie envisioned the trek as a transformative gift, a perfect conduit to help Sonia navigate her personal storm while simultaneously kindling a spark of appreciation for the exhilarating world of high-altitude exploration that had captured her own heart so completely. Bolstered by her extensive background, she felt assured that her knowledge would serve as an impenetrable shield for her less experienced friend, ensuring a journey free from mishap. That bright, anticipation-filled morning of December 21st, 2003, Sonia and Marnie rendezvoused at a nondescript bus stop in Christchurch, their backpacks methodically stuffed with essentials, their moods buoyant with the thrill of impending adventure, the holiday season's cheer adding an extra layer of excitement to the air. Originally, a cadre of fellow classmates had been slated to swell their ranks, infusing the outing with group energy, But a flurry of last-minute cancellations whittled the party down to just the duo, an unforeseen intimacy that would later prove both a blessing and a curse. The 2.5-hour shuttle ride to the Waimakariri Bridge brimmed with effervescent dialogue, Marnie animatedly outlining the intricacies of their route and the cozy mountain huts that would provide refuge each night, her enthusiasm infectious as she painted vivid pictures of the landscapes ahead. Sonia absorbed every word with rapt fascination, her urban sensibilities ignited by the novelty of it all, each detail sparking a fresh wave of exhilaration. The atmospheric conditions were nothing short of ideal. Expansive clear skies stretched infinitely, visibility stretched to the horizons, and weather reports hummed with promises of unwavering stability, with no signs of disruption on the immediate radar. Marnie, ever the pragmatist, was cognizant of a brewing storm system forecasted to encroach in a day or two, but their carefully calibrated itinerary appeared robust enough to outpace any potential turmoil. The blueprint was crystal clear. The inaugural night nestled in the welcoming confines of Carrington Hut, the subsequent evening at the remote Julia Hut, followed by an emergence onto the rugged West Coast, where Marnie anticipated a joyous convergence with old friends at the iconic Fox Glacier. For Sonia, the horizon held visions of indulgent Christmas shopping sprees amid twinkling lights and a warm, heartfelt family dinner shared with her sister Nikki, a cherished tradition that anchored her amid life's upheavals. As the shuttle deposited them at the bridge's edge, Marnie cast a seasoned gaze upon the familiar, imposing mountain silhouettes and nodded with quiet conviction. She had traversed these very grounds on numerous occasions, every contour and crevice committed to memory like an old, trusted map. Sonia, enveloped in a cocoon of trust toward her guide's expertise, felt a surge of readiness wash over her, stepping into the unknown with a blend of nerves and excitement. Both women, radiating peak physical conditioning, outfitted with premium gear tailored for the rigors ahead, and infused with an unbreakable positive spirit, ventured forth into the wild, utterly unaware that the coming hours would unveil an insurmountable barrier poised to dismantle their dreams and thrust them into a realm of unimaginable peril. The expedition's opening chapter on December 22nd unfolded with the precision of a well-rehearsed script, aligning seamlessly with their envisioned plan. The pair ascended at a leisurely pace alongside the meandering Waimakariri River, the sun's gentle rays caressing their path and elevating the experience to one of pure, unadulterated joy. Marnie, drawing from her vast reservoir of knowledge, narrated the surrounding geography with captivating detail, interspersing her commentary with thrilling anecdotes from her storied hiking past, each story a thread weaving Sonia deeper into the tapestry of mountain lore. By the time evening's soft veil descended, they had arrived at the welcoming sanctuary of Carrington Hut, where they settled in for a restorative night surrounded by a convivial gathering of fellow travelers, the shared stories and laughter around the fire forging fleeting bonds that warmed more than just the body. The dawn of December 23rd erupted in a blaze of sunshine, prompting an early 6:30 a.m. departure with hearts buoyant and strides purposeful, their sights set on reaching Julia Hut within a manageable 6 hours. The atmosphere buzzed with optimism, the weather holding steady like a faithful ally, and the most visually stunning segments of their journey stretched enticingly before them, promising vistas that would etch themselves into memory forever. However, after several hours of steady progress, an abrupt and unforeseen impediment shattered their momentum. Sprawled across the trail lay a formidable expanse of ice encrusting the underlying rocks, a glassy barrier so vast and treacherously slick that safe passage demanded specialized crampons and ice axes, equipment glaringly absent from their packs. Flanking one side was a perilously steep incline blanketed in loose, shifting scree that promised unstable footing and potential slides, while the opposite flank presented unyielding vertical rock walls that defied any attempt at scaling without advanced climbing aids. Marnie, ever the strategist, unfurled her map and scrutinized the topography with focused intensity, her mind racing through alternatives. A retreat to the safety of Carrington Hut would unravel the intricate web of their plans, dooming Marnie's eagerly anticipated Christmas rendezvous on Fox Glacier and extinguishing Sonia's visions of holiday merriment with her family. Her keen eye spotted what appeared to be a viable continuation of the trail higher up the slope, traversing more forgiving terrain. According to the map's contours, a detour via a series of rocky outcrops offered a challenging but ostensibly navigable circumvention of the icy impasse. On paper, it registered as demanding yet entirely achievable. Marnie's honed instincts, forged in countless alpine trials, reassured her that this pivot represented a prudent, reasonable gambit. With a decisive gesture, Marnie pointed toward the upward trajectory, a seemingly innocuous choice that would inexorably entangle them in a harrowing snare from which escape seemed an impossible dream. The ascent commenced in the vein of a conventional mountaineering endeavor, with Marnie assuming the vanguard role, meticulously charting the course and providing Sonia with precise directives on foot placements and handholds to ensure stability. In the beginning phases, the gradient proved relatively tame, allowing both women to build a rhythm and foster a growing sense of assurance in their capabilities. However, as they gained altitude with each laborious step, the landscape underwent a sinister metamorphosis, escalating into a formidable gauntlet that tested every fiber of their being. What the map had portrayed as a straightforward bypass revealed itself in brutal clarity as a labyrinthine sequence of near-vertical walls interspersed with perilously narrow fissures that yawned like open wounds in the earth. Beneath their boots, loose gravel and scree cascaded in unpredictable avalanches, compelling them to select each foothold with the deliberation of a surgeon, lest a single miscalculation precipitate a catastrophic tumble. Sonia, for all her impressive physical conditioning and unyielding determination, began to grapple with the insidious creep of fear, the vertigo-inducing altitude swelling beneath them with every passing moment, while secure resting perches grew increasingly scarce, amplifying the sense of precarious exposure. After an exhausting 4 hours of unrelenting exertion, marked by scraped knuckles, labored breaths, and the constant threat of dislodged stones, they found themselves perched at an elevation of approximately 4,600 feet on a razor-thin rocky ledge adjacent to Harmon Pass. Marnie, drawing on her optimism, had anticipated that this vantage would unveil a clear, descending pathway reconnecting them to the primary trail, a lifeline back to safety. But the harsh, unyielding reality delivered a crushing blow. Looming above them stretched a nearly perpendicular facade of friable, unstable stone, teetering on the verge of collapse like a house of cards in a gale. Separating them from the coveted pass lay an avalanche-prone gully, a treacherous chute that demanded specialized gear for any hope of traversal. The notion of descent proved equally daunting, if not more so. The very path they had arduously ascended over those grueling hours now appeared even more formidable in reverse, its loose scree transforming into a lethal slide that could send them hurtling uncontrollably into the abyss with one errant step. In that pivotal moment, Marnie confronted the full weight of her misjudgment. She had overestimated the precision of her navigational prowess, grossly underestimated the terrain's brutal complexity, and, most critically, miscalculated Sonia's readiness as a beginner in the demanding arena of true mountaineering, where inexperience could prove fatal. As the stark reality of their predicament crystallized, the women's responses diverged along the lines of their personalities and experiences. Sonia was engulfed by a surging wave of panic, her first genuine brush with mortal peril unfolding on this knife-edge perch suspended between the infinite sky and a yawning chasm below. Her hands trembled uncontrollably, her breaths came in ragged, shallow gasps, and every tentative glance downward revealed a vertiginous drop punctuated by jagged, unforgiving rocks that promised instant annihilation upon impact. In her desperation, she implored Marnie to devise a descent strategy, her voice laced with raw fear, only to be met with the grim, unvarnished truth. The risks were insurmountably high, the path back a suicide mission. This terror locked her muscles in a vice of paralysis, compelling her to cling desperately to the unyielding rock face, her mind racing with the dread of a single misstep spelling doom. Marnie, meanwhile, navigated her own internal maelstrom of emotions. Her years of rigorous training had instilled a disciplined control over panic, yet they could not eradicate the searing guilt that burned within her like a relentless flame. As the self-appointed leader of their ill-fated expedition, she bore the weight of the decision that had steered them into this deadly quagmire, having persuaded her less seasoned companion to follow her lead into what now revealed itself as an inescapable trap. However, Marnie recognized that this was no moment for indulgent self-reproach. Such distractions could prove lethal. Drawing on her reservoir of expertise, she compelled herself to pivot toward pragmatic problem-solving, meticulously analyzing their dire circumstances and formulating the next steps essential for survival, her mind a fortress against despair. By the encroaching evening of December 22nd, as the women secured a meager, precarious nook on the ledge, a cramped indentation amid the jagged outcrops, the atmospheric conditions began their treacherous shift, a harbinger of the nightmare to come. The once vibrant sky that had bathed them in morning light now succumbed to a brooding canopy of dark, ominous clouds, the temperature plummeting with alarming swiftness, and the initial, sporadic droplets of rain serving as ominous precursors to a far more severe onslaught. Marnie, with her intimate knowledge of alpine perils, understood the mortal threat posed by precipitation in such elevated realms. Rocks, already precarious, would slicken to the lethality of polished ice, amplifying every movement into a high-stakes gamble. Water would infiltrate fissures, destabilizing the very foundations of the stone. And worst of all, such deluges often triggered catastrophic rockfalls, where saturated slopes disgorged tons of debris in thunderous cascades. As the heavens opened in earnest, unleashing a biblical torrent, the full gravity of their entrapment struck with force. Utterly confined, with no avenue for escape or relief, their lightweight rain gear, engineered for transient showers during leisurely hikes, buckled under the assault, offering scant defense against the relentless cascade. Within a single hour, they were drenched to the marrow, their clothing heavy and ineffectual. Marnie's down-filled sleeping bag, now saturated, forfeited its vital insulating properties entirely, transforming into a sodden weight that chilled rather than warmed. Sonia's synthetic alternative fared marginally better, retaining a sliver of loft, yet it too failed to deliver sufficient thermal barrier against the encroaching hypothermia. The storm system, which Marnie had noted in pre-trip forecasts as a distant concern, had arrived with premature vengeance and amplified ferocity, sealing their fate in a cocoon of misery. Temperatures continued their inexorable descent, the downpour escalated into a deafening roar, and howling gales whipped the precipitation into horizontal sheets that stung like needles, exacerbating their vulnerability to the core. By the stroke of midnight, the true horror unfurled in all its terrifying glory. The waterlogged slopes towering above them began to disintegrate under the deluge's assault, dislodging boulders the size of footballs that hurtled past their fragile sanctuary with terrifying velocity, slamming into the rocks below in explosive crashes that reverberated through the night like artillery fire, sending shivers of dread through their already frozen bodies. Huddled tightly in their confined refuge, the women braced for impact, acutely aware that a single direct strike from one of these plummeting projectiles would spell instantaneous, violent death, their lives extinguished in a crush of stone. The relentless rain had alchemized their makeshift shelter into an inescapable prison, where every falling drop edged them closer to the precipice of demise, the elements conspiring as judge, jury, and executioner. Their haven was a constricted fissure wedged between protruding rock ledges, so agonizingly narrow that simultaneous reclining proved impossible, forcing a grim rotation system. One woman endured the full brunt of the deluge perched atop a flat, exposed slab, rain lashing her relentlessly, while the other crouched in the marginally drier recess below, knees drawn to chest in a bid for minimal warmth. Every few hours, they traded positions with mechanical precision, a ritual born of necessity to stave off complete numbness and circulatory failure. Their thoroughly saturated sleeping bags inadvertently doubled as impromptu reservoirs, capturing rainwater that they wrung directly into parched mouths for hydration. The liquid's acrid, metallic tang, laced with the essence of wet fabric and mountain grit, was revolting, yet it represented their sole, precarious source of sustenance amid the gale-force winds that rendered other collection methods futile. As the second day dawned without mercy, the physical toll escalated alarmingly. Legs ballooned grotesquely from prolonged immobility and the biting chill, white patches of frostbite creeping insidiously across Sonia's extremities like a spreading plague, while Marnie's myriad scratches and abrasions, inflicted by the rough scramble, swelled and reddened with the ominous signs of infection, fever brewing beneath her skin. Hallucinations flickered at the edges of consciousness, born from the toxic cocktail of sleep deprivation, unrelenting exhaustion, and nutritional void, the world blurring into surreal distortions where shadows danced with phantom menace. Conversations dwindled to sparse, fragmented utterances, movements slowed to laborious crawls as energy reserves depleted. Marnie, summoning reserves of willpower, compelled Sonia to remain active, administering sharp cheek slaps and painful pinches to jolt her from lethargy's grasp, insisting on limb flexes and shifts, acutely aware that succumbing to slumber in such dire straits could transition seamlessly into eternal rest. They endured this harrowing limbo for 8 interminable days, their bodies pushed to the brink of collapse, yet their unbreakable mutual support, a tapestry of encouragement, shared warmth, and vigilant care, served as the fragile thread anchoring them to life. Unbeknownst to the stranded duo, efforts in the valley below stirred with growing urgency. On December 26th, Christmas Eve, a day steeped in joy for most, Sonia's sister Nikki Rendell confronted her gnawing doubts and the paralyzing fear of overreacting, mustering the courage to drive to the National Park Center in Arthur's Pass and formally report her siblings' disappearance. Her details were fragmentary, limited to broad strokes of the planned route, yet sufficient to catalyze the machinery of rescue. By evening's fall, Marnie's sister Gina Shepherd had traversed oceans from Sydney, arriving to bolster the vigil and infuse the search with familial determination. December 27th dawned with the launch of a comprehensive operation. Terrestrial rescue contingents, specialized alpine operatives, and law enforcement units fanned out across hundreds of square miles, their resolve steel-clad. Canine units with keen-scented hounds and New Zealand Air Force helicopters augmented the ranks, transforming the park into a hive of activity. However, nature, ever the adversary, conspired against them. Dense clouds cloaked the skies, persistent rain slickened every surface, and ferocious winds grounded aerial surveys, rendering vast swaths inaccessible and hopes dim. By the close of December 28th, after 2 exhaustive days yielding naught but frustration, the rescuers' spirits flagged, the unspoken specter of failure looming large as time's relentless march eroded optimism. December 29th marked the 8th agonizing day on their precarious ledge, bodies ravaged. 3 days without solid nourishment, hydration scavenged solely from wrung sleeping bags, Sonia's frostbite advancing with insidious persistence, Marnie's infections igniting feverish delirium. Hallucinations plagued them, willpower teetering on collapse's edge. Yet, in a stunning reversal, nature extended an olive branch. Rains abated for the first time in over a week, thick clouds parting to reveal longed for azure expanses. A miraculous reprieve that rekindled faint embers of hope. For Sonia and Marnie, this break felt like divine intervention, visibility surging, aerial detection suddenly plausible. They readied their vibrant sleeping bags, their sole conspicuous signals, waving them with desperate vigor at any hint of mechanical hum. Simultaneously, in the Valley's command hub, Sergeant Dan Harker, a veteran New Zealand Air Force helicopter pilot with a heart as vast as the skies he navigated, extended a gesture of profound empathy. Witnessing Nikki and Gina's week-long torment, their faces etched with anguish that aged them prematurely, Harker proposed an unconventional flight. Not a formal search, but a poignant aerial tour for closure, allowing them to gaze upon the terrains where their loved ones had ventured, to whisper mental farewells amid the peaks. It was humanity's quiet rebellion against bureaucracy's cold logic. Nikki and Gina, grasping at this slender thread, consented, not anticipating miracles, but seeking solace in connection to the fateful locale. As Harker's chopper ascended that morning, improved conditions permitted higher altitudes, unveiling previously shrouded zones. Charting toward Harmon Pass, a plausible deviation point, fate intervened at 12:40 p.m. Gina's piercing cry directed eyes downward to a narrow ledge where 2 minuscule figures frantically waved colorful bags, Sonia and Marnie, channeling their final reserves. Coordinates crackled over radio. Harker initiated a daring winch operation. Terrain forbade landing. Sonia ascended first, Marnie aiding her harness amid trembling frailty. Then Marnie, casting a final glance at the ledge, their 8-day crucible. Unaware these mountains would summon her back fatally 17 years later, the cabin erupted in emotional catharsis. Disbelief yielded to tears, embraces. Marnie's apologies poured forth, self-blame heavy. Hospital transport revealed astonishing vitality. Mild frostbite, edema, abrasions, but no catastrophes. Fitness and solidarity defied odds. Leg nerve damage, numbness from compression, chill demanded 3 weeks recuperation. Psychological echoes varied. Sonia swore off hikes, trauma a stark boundary. Resumed Christchurch normalcy, studies, career, family. Marnie, after 10 months, reclaimed peaks cautiously, guilt lingering, passion triumphant. Friendship endured. Sonia lauded Marnie's salvation. Trajectories diverged. Sonia's stability, graduation, marriage, profession. Marnie's ascents, physics eminence, publications, blogs simplifying complexities. Peers admired acuity, sensed unrest. By 2019, turmoil, perhaps 2003's shadow, precipitated downfall. Job/home loss, Oakland streets, shelters, homelessness. November 2020, self-proclaimed Queen of the South tweeted mountain return to Arthur's Pass. Vanished. January 2021, alert mobilized search. March 2021, Ralston River Valley remains confirmed hers. Beloved peaks claimed her eternally. Sonia Marnie Odyssey probes decision's peril. Marnie's culpability? Fate's whimsy? Trust expertise or retreat? Ponder. Correct/incorrect choices? Comment thoughts. Like. Subscribe for more. Until next.